What's going on, guys? It's Vic over here at Vic's Cards. We're going to talk about the state of grading and how my thoughts are on the current state of grading. So, in front of us, we have a really awesome purple speckle, Francisco Alvarez, Gem Mint 10 at a 299 rookie. And then we have an up-and-coming star, Marvin Harrison Jr., autograph in a 10-10 from SGC. So basically, my gripe, in my opinion, is that PSA is inconsistent in a few things. The first thing for me is PSA is extremely inconsistent in their grading scale. When you send a card to PSA, you really have no idea what that card's going to get. You can look that thing over with a loupe at max magnification. You can look that over with your eyes, see if anything, pops out to you at bare naked eye level, things like that. Depending on the grader and things going a certain way for that grader that day, you really never know. I had personal experiences where I've sent cards to PSA, they come back an 8, crack it, resub it to PSA, it gets a 10. I've seen plenty of times PSA 9s get resubbed to a 10. I have not seen a 7 get subbed to a 10, but I have seen 7s get bumped up to 9s, 7s up to 8s, things like that. It's just so inconsistent. And people are always like, well, I got to send it to PSA for the max value. Understood. They're the top dog right now. I mean, there's really nothing you can argue about in terms of value. If you send a card to PSA and it comes back a 10, like the Alvarez here, you're maximizing your value. Now, my main argument is time costs you money. So if your card, let's say Francisco Alvarez, happened to hit 50 home runs this year, and this card was at PSA from the beginning of July and did not get returned till almost the end of October. Now, say he hits 50 home runs towards the middle of September, I now miss that chance to sell, right? Because the card is sitting at PSA on the other side of the country, still waiting to be graded 4 months. Okay, it takes them, in most cases, a couple days to a week to even enter your order into their system. Now, I'm not going to give you, rock hard advice here, but what I've been trying, I'm going to share my experience, is to your left is the Marvin Harrison Jr. SGC 1010. That card raw right now goes for $300. A month ago, it was going for a little bit above $150, right on release, pretty much. And I decided, I pulled this card, so I did get a little lucky. So, it is a little hole in the example, but pulled this card out of a box. So if you do the box average of, I think it's 96 cards, it comes out to a little over $1 price per card. So in theory, I'm in that card, whatever the price per card is for the box. Then I paid $15. This is before the $9 moment special. I paid $15 to get that card graded, and it came back at $10.10. So in theory, I'm in it a little over $16. Now, the last sale, you'll see a $6.50 sticker. The last sale of this was actually on Saturday after the Michigan-Ohio State game at auction, and it sold for $540 in that same exact grade, same exact card, same exact grading company. A week before, that card had sold for $450. I believe it was best offer. If it wasn't best offer, it was also an auction. Now, there is another one up. I don't know the pop count as of right now, but I thought it was 3. It looks like there's 4, could be more. Last time I looked, it was 3, and that was 2 weeks ago. But there's another one listed right now at $649 best offer on eBay. And so basically, you can't really find that card in a PSA holder unless you pay for the 10-day or 20-day in this case, because you could have already gotten that card back at a 20-day submission at PSA. Now, I paid $15, which is cheaper than any level at PSA. I'm a Collectors Club member as well. And I got that card back door to door in 7 days, along with a Shedeur Sanders Kahuna in that order. It's 2-card order. I got it basically release weekend, the box, and I had it back a week after release. So now I have this card in hand. Ohio State has a shot still, an outside shot, to make the college football playoff. And this card is sitting in hand right now. So my 2 cents is it's less about getting a card in a specific holder at a specific price, whatever you want to call it. And it's about getting hot products slabbed up and onto the market as fast as possible. Are you leaving some room for opportunity on the table by not grading at PSA? 100%. But on the flip side, the longer your card sits at PSA, a lot of us are not spending $75 a card to get our card back in 10 days. We'd rather spend, a fifth of that at SGC to get our card back in the same time, if not faster. And so basically my strategy has been, and I'm not hiding this from anybody, and this is just my strategy, is my opinion, is grade at SGC efficiently, know exactly what SGC is looking for, and that's something that SGC has been very transparent about. And no matter what sub I send in, I doubt I'm getting the same grader every time, but I'm pushing damn near 70% gem rate on over 40 cards. The last 25, I'm pushing 70%. And if you add 9.5s in, I'm well over 85% on 9.5 or higher. And that's because when I'm looking at cards to send to SGC, I know what they're looking for because of the consistency in the grading. When I send the card to PSA, it's almost like a crapshoot. I might as well roll the dice because I really have no idea what I'm going to get. Like, there are cards that have been well centered, no, anything wrong with the surface, corners are good, edges are sharp, and it comes back an 8. I have a few of those sitting in my binder right now, in my case right now. And then there are cards I send in, I'm like, I probably just want it slabbed, it's a PC card, I'm just going to throw it in, so you got to hit the minimum, right? Another thing that PSA forces you to do if you send in bulks, you got to hit the minimum. No minimum in SGC, so I'm going to throw that out there. Also no max declared values, no upcharges, no shitty customer service. I mean, the list goes on. And this is not an SGC sing-along, okay? Because every grading company has their pros and their cons, right? I think SGC's holder's okay. I think PSA's is clean and sleek and looks a little better. I also think you should grade wherever you want to grade if you're grading for PC, but if we're going to be realistic, let's not beat around the bush here. Certain grading companies hold a certain level of premium in the hobby. That's just the way it is. So I'm not going to tell you where to grade, but you should really think about where you're grading and why you're grading before you send cards off to certain grading companies. But to come back to my main point here, my main point is think about where you're grading, why you're grading it, and also look at when you're grading, right? You shouldn't be grading baseball in the middle of July. So me sending this Francisco Alvarez in the middle of July, was that great timing? Probably not, but I sent it because the Mets were dead. They were out of the playoff race, and I figured I'd have this thing back for the offseason hype. So that's why I sent it. The reason I sent this guy to SGC, I didn't even wait for the special because I didn't know what the special was at the time. But I knew I would have this back in 10 business days, basically 2 weeks. I knew I had that card in hand for a playoff run and be ready to go and sell it, or be able to sell it. So basically, think about a few things. Where you're sending your card, why you're sending that card, and when you're sending that card to get graded. It shouldn't be about, I have to send a card here because this is where I can make the max value. Think about how long that card's going to sit, the missed opportunity that you're going to miss when that card is sitting at the grader, okay? Think about other things besides PSA, or SGC, or Jeff Wilson and Card Collector 2 and all these guys telling me I got to grade here because that's where all the value is. Or don't grade here because you'll lose a ton of value. Or, don't invest into this player because of blah, 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 blah. All right? Just think for yourself. Think about where you can be different. And that's where you can create the advantage. Now, this is a hobby. I don't do this to make money. Okay? I have a full-time job. where it pays the bills. All right, I do this for fun. But at a certain point, you got to sell cards to buy more cards. All right, you can't just keep losing and losing and losing. And you got to find where you can make that difference. And in my opinion, beating PSA slabs to market is the fastest way to go. And I can guarantee you those cards will sell. Do not believe the nonsense that SGC doesn't sell, because it does. You're probably going to get 80% of what a PSA 10 is. But 80%, say it's $540 like the Marvin Harrison was, right? I'll take that $540 now. I just beat all the PSA 10s to market. Those PSA 10s aren't out yet. They're still sitting at PSA. Because people aren't going to grade cards that are hot right now and wait 2 months, 3 months to get those cards back. When Marvin Harrison's hot right now, you could sell him for basically 2 times what he was worth a month ago. His raws, again, were going for like a $150, maybe a little less, honestly. And now the raw base is going for upwards of almost $300. You see sales a little over above 300. You see sales a little below 300. So we can say roughly between 280 and 320 on those raw Marvin Harrisons now a month later after release. And the cards that got sent to PSA are still at PSA. And SGC 10s are selling for pretty good money. $450, that's pretty good. $540, that's, $240 over a raw price. Just think about that. It's $240 over a raw price. Not doubling the raw quite yet, but you're getting damn near close. So just keep those things in mind when you're grading. Don't get sucked in to everyone telling you where to grade and how to grade and what to grade. Grade whatever you want. No one really cares, except for the people that do. They'll tell you about it on Twitter. Trust me. But at the end of the day, just think about why you're grading, when you're grading, and why you're choosing that specific company. Each company has positives for certain reasons, and each company has negatives for certain reasons. And simple one here, just to give you an example to leave off of, is PSA has that long-term value, has that modern premium, and a Gem Mint 10 PSA is going to sell for higher than a Beckett 9.5, than an SGC 10, than a CSG 10, than whatever the hell you want to throw in, HGA, tag, whatever. A PSA 10 is always going to sell for more. It just is. That's the way it's going to be. If your goal is for long-term, you're fine sending these cards in. Like, you're going to send a card in March, and you're going to get it back in June, right by the all-star break of baseball, ready for the playoffs. That's a good way to grade with PSA. If you know this hot product and you want to capitalize on that hype on the hot product before the prices inevitably drop after the release, SGC is clearly the way to go. Flip that card. Get it graded. Make sure, it's a gradable card. That's also something you need to look at before you send a card in. All right? And, just be smart when you're sending cards in. And, everything will work out in your favor. Again, this is just my strategy. My strategy is just beating PSA slabs to market, getting cards out the door that I need to move. There are certain cards I won't move, that I won't post. These cards have price tags, but, being in the New York, New Jersey area, I'm probably going to hold on to the Francisco Alvarez for the season. I think the Mets are going to be fine. I'm a Yankee fan, but again, I think the Mets are going to be fine. Pulled myself. Same thing with the Marvin. That card was pulled myself. And again, I think he's going to be fine. I think this is a good time to sell. Otherwise, you're probably going to have to wait until almost draft time to get that capital back up. Because if Ohio State doesn't make the college football playoff, which is more likely than not, the card's definitely going to drop down in value. So it's kind of a game I'm playing here. I have the card ready to go. But again, the PSA 10s aren't out yet. They aren't back in collectors' hands yet. They're still there. They should be back any minute, really, quite soon. It's been almost a month since release day, so... but that's kind of the example there. Is I was trying to get the Marvin graded, so I had it ready. I still think I might sell it. Who knows? But I have the opportunity if I want to take it. That way it's not out of my hand. Again, remember, time equals money. Money doesn't always equal time. All right? So if you're spending on a bulk sub and you're spending, upwards of $500, $600, that still doesn't mean your cards are getting back to you faster, So just keep that in mind. And I hope you guys all have a blessed week. Stay tuned for more vids. I'm looking to vlog a little bit at the next show that is going to be in Middlesex, New Jersey at the Middlesex Elks Club. It is Emu Card Show in Middlesex, New Jersey on December 29th. It is a Friday, 12 to 7, so come check us out there. Otherwise, feel free to comment, like. I would really appreciate a subscription. Let's discuss in the comments or hit me up on Twitter if you have any thoughts on this as well. And I hope you guys have a great, awesome rest of your holiday season. Peace.